Hi, and welcome back to another installment of Investing in the Future. I'm Forsyth County Manager Kevin Tanner, and I'm glad you're with us here at East Forsyth High School today for another roundtable discussion. Our sheriff's deputies, firefighters, and other public safety professionals are the first responders to an emergency. They work long shifts, sacrifice many valuable moments they could be spending at home, and they put their lives on the line every day to keep us all safe. A safe community is the first priority to building a desirable place to live, work, and play, and that is exactly what the men and women in our fire department, 911, call center, and sheriff's office provide for us each day. I'm honored to be joined in the studio today by Fire Department Chief Barry Head, Sheriff Ron Freeman, and County Chief Financial Officer Mark Turk. Gentlemen, thank you for joining me here today.
Our pleasure.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you.
I want to talk to each of you about the state of our public safety here in our community. But first, let's focus on the need for more first responders. How great is that need? What challenges have you incurred recruiting and retaining? Chief Head, what challenges are you facing with recruiting and retaining your firefighters?
I think that if you talk to anybody in administration and public safety, the greatest challenge in today's time is recruiting and retaining your workforce. The interest just isn't there like it was 15 or 20 years ago. We've seen application numbers decline, and that's across the country. So I think that making it more appealing, paying those individuals that have an interest in public safety a living wage, and making it more competitive in the marketplace, I think it's going to go a long way into, first of all, recruiting more people in, gaining that interest, and holding on to our staff that we currently have, and keep them from going off into other ventures.
Good, thank you, Chief, and thank you for what you do and all of our firefighters do to keep us safe each and every day. Mark, to help with recruitment and retention needs, the county recently passed a salary adjustment for our first responders. Can you break that down for us and tell us why that was a priority for Forsyth County this budget cycle?
Yes, thank you for that. The Board of Commissioners has, in their foresight, wanted to make the employee the focus of what we are doing in this next budget that was just approved. And in doing so, public safety was a concern. And the employees of the county will all receive a 4% cost of living adjustment come January of 2023. Public safety is called out a little bit differently in that their 4% is coming in the fourth quarter of 2022. In addition to that, public safety workers, first responders, are going to receive up to an additional 12% cost of living adjustment starting in January. So that recruitment and retainment component of the Board of Commissioners' foresight is really taking hold.
That's great. Chief Head, what do you think that means for our firefighters?
Well, I can sum that up with a conversation I just had with a young firefighter yesterday. He was telling me how much he appreciated the raise, and he said, I'm going to be able to quit my second job and be able to be home with my family more. And that work-life balance is important to our employees, and it's important to us, and this is going to allow some of them to do that.
I don't think a lot of people realize that a lot of your firefighters don't just come work that 24-hour shift, but on their off days, they're working at another fire department or working another full-time job just to be able to support their family.
That's exactly right. You know, the pay in public safety has long been low compared to the private sector. And even in law enforcement, they work part-time jobs, fire department work. It's just kind of the nature of things. And if we can help improve their quality of life, that makes a better employee for us that's going to stay with us even longer.
Great. Sheriff, same question. What do you think this adjustment means to the Sheriff's Office and your employees?
Well, this adjustment, in fact, puts us in January as likely the best paid Sheriff's Office in the state of Georgia. You know, we are in the unfortunate and fortunate place of living where we live, but the unfortunate is in North Metro Atlanta, we are in the pinnacle hub of the highest paid and most rapidly changing environment for public safety pay. You know, I had originally came to the commissioners with a proposal for an 11% across the board for our public safety or our deputy sheriffs, and talking with Chief Head and things. And then around us within 3 months, Sandy Springs raised 20+%, and Roswell raised 18%, then another one raised 20%. And that would have put us $5,000 and $6,000 behind the curve.
And that's where we're competing. In North Metro Atlanta, we're competing with the best paid, law enforcement agencies in the state of Georgia. And so unfortunately, you have to play in that playground that you're provided in. So literally doing this, we're certainly not the best paid law enforcement agency, but as Chief Head said, it gets us to a living wage. I've had deputies come to me and go, man, just thank you. And I'll tell them, hey, look, this is a collaboration between the Board of Commissioners and ourselves. Forsyth County has always put public safety at the forefront. I don't ever remember, well, I do remember times, but it was long ago. But in recent past, Forsyth County is consistently, you said it really well, Mr. Tanner, is if we can't keep our people safe from the needs for the fire department, needs for our EMS, needs for our 911 center, needs for sheriff's office, to us to be able to provide those services, then what are we doing in government? And so we've made that commitment. It puts us there. It's really going to help with retention. But just like Chief Head, we're the third largest full service sheriff's office in the state of Georgia. And I was running almost a 10% vacancy rate. But that's down to about 6% now. And since we've announced the new pay rates, we've seen an influx of about 50 new applicants. Now, what that will turn into, I hope, is good qualified folks who can come on and serve the community in Forsyth County. So we've seen a really good impact thus far with that. And so I think we're headed to a brighter future, but it is a challenging time in public safety to recruit.
It's great. I know one of the things we consistently hear from our citizens is how happy they are to live in a safe community. And that doesn't just happen by chance. It's because of leaders like Chief Head and Sheriff Freeman that continuously strives to hire the best, train the best, and retain the best employees. So gentlemen, thank you for what you do. Thank you for joining us today, and I want to thank all of our public safety personnel from the Forsyth County Administration for all they do on behalf of the citizens here in Forsyth County. They're doing a great job, and that's why Forsyth County is the safest place in the state of Georgia to live, and we're happy to be a part of that. So thank you, gentlemen, very much. If you're interested in a career in public safety with Forsyth County, now is a great time to reach out and explore all of your career opportunities in the 911 Center, Sheriff's Office, and the Fire Department. Visit forsythco.com to learn more about all public safety and government career opportunities in the county. And for careers in law enforcement, please visit forsythsheriff.org. When we come back, we will talk to Fire Chief Barry Head, so don't go anywhere. Welcome back to the special public safety edition of Investing in the Future. Fire Department Chief Barry Head is with us now, and Chief, we appreciate you being with us today.
Thank you for having me.
Chief, I know one of the areas that the fire department takes a great deal of pride in is response time. Can you tell us what that is, why it's important, and how we stack up?
Well, arguably, the response time is the most critical portion of emergency response. The quicker that we can get on scene and start rendering life-saving care or mitigating the fire or other emergency, usually provides for a much more positive outcome. We're fortunate here, the national average is just under 8 minutes for the average response time for most fire departments, and we're proud to stand here today and tell you we're doing that in just a little bit over 5 minutes.
That is outstanding. And I know 5 minutes is quick, but when you're at that emergency waiting, it seems like a lifetime.
It does. It can seem like an eternity.
That's right. Another thing I know that's important for folks that live here in Forsyth County is the ISO rating. Can you talk a little bit about what that means, what is an ISO rating, and how we stack up in Forsyth County?
Gladly. So the ISO rating is a rating that is provided by the Insurance Services Organization, and that's what the property owners, insurance agents utilize to judge their fire protection and set their homeowners rates accordingly. So Forsyth County, we're a Class 3, the best being a 1, worst being a 10. So we're sitting at a Class 3 right now as of last year. And that's important because that's a tremendous savings on a homeowner's insurance policy. We keep striving to lower that rating as we go. It's a point system, so we've started hyper-focusing on the way we design our equipment because there's a lot of points associated with that, and personnel issues, or staffing. So being properly staffed, properly equipped are a couple of the big components, but it also includes 911. They do a great job. The water system in the county is phenomenal, so we get a lot of points for that. But that accumulation of points is what gets us to a Class 3. We always want to be a Class 2 or a Class 1.
How often is that reevaluated? How often do they come?
So they visit us every 7 years unless we call them to come back for a reassessment.
Okay, that's great. Well, great, thank you for that. I know that keeps all of our homeowner rates low, which is what we're happy about. I know Forsyth County's had tremendous growth over the last couple of decades, and we continue to see that both residentially and commercially. How's the fire department keeping up with that growth?
So as you well know, population drives call volume and demand for services. Making sure that we're properly staffed and properly equipped are two big components. Also pre-planning where we're going to put fire stations in the next 5 to 10 years is a big part of that. So we start planning our stations out, additional stations, about 7 to 8 years out, and they really become more into focus at about 5 years in our capital improvement plan. So you can rest assured that we're on top of that. We have 2 replacement stations that are in the works right now that'll be coming to fruition soon. Station 9 over off of Brownsbridge Road and Station 15 over off of Buford Highway. Those are 2 stations that have served us well, but they're old. So being able to add capacity and add more units in those stations will go a long way to helping us there. Also, we are in the pre-planning stages of a 34-acre training campus off of Martin Road in North Forsyth. That's going to help us increase our class sizes because we're a little bit limited right now for class sizes for recruit classes. We'll be able to hold much larger recruit classes and build better training facilities, better training props, higher quality training delivered to our employees, and that's key to the long-term success of the organization.
That's great, and you hit on a couple of things I think is important. One, you said that there was 17,000 calls for service last year.
17,300 to be exact.
Yeah, that's a lot of calls that our equipment's rolling out to help people in need. The other thing that you talked about a little bit is our capital improvement plan. So I think one of the things a lot of citizens may not realize, but you already have for long-term, out 20 years, you've identified where stations need to be built out into the future for Forsyth County as we continue to grow, estimated what that will cost every year for Forsyth County, and then during the budget cycle, we do a capital plan with the budget so that we're planning and preparing out even 20 years out in the future. Is that right?
You hit the nail on the head. So we have to be able to make sure that we have adequate funding for these projects well in advance. And that can be challenging in today's environment, but with the assistance of Mark and the finance team and our staff, we're well in tune with it.
That's great. What are some of the other key initiatives your department's working on heading into a new year?
One of our biggest projects right now is a fire station alerting system. We talked about response times a minute ago. This system will help us save about 20 seconds off of the dispatch cycle of every emergency, so that's going to help us to continue to maintain low response times. We have a number of apparatus being built, a new ladder truck, a few more engines, and 2 specialty rescue vehicles to replace aging equipment, and the 2 fire stations that should be coming out of the ground soon.
That's great. You know, you talk about 20 seconds, and somebody's watching this, they're thinking, wow, 20 seconds. But again, as someone who has worked in public safety personally, but also someone who's rolled up on that accident, that wreck, or had a family member in medical distress, every second counts in being able to save a life.
You're exactly right. Every second does count. And the quicker that we can get units on scene to render that life-saving care and get those people to a proper hospital, the outcomes are usually much, much better.
Well, Chief, again, thank you for what you do in leading this department, and thank you to all the men and women of the Forsyth County Fire Department for keeping us all safe, working all hours of the night, all types of weather, never refusing to answer that call. We all owe you a great debt of gratitude in all the men and women of your department. So thanks for being with us today.
Thank you for that, but we couldn't do it without the support of you and the Board of Commissioners and also the public at large. So thank you for all you do for us.
Thank you. Stick around because in our final segment, Sheriff Ron Freeman will join us, so don't go anywhere. Welcome back to this special edition of Public Safety Investing in the Future. Forsyth County Sheriff Ron Freeman is with us now. Sheriff, thanks for taking the time to be with us today.
Yeah, my pleasure.
Sheriff, tell us a little bit about the current state of public safety here in our community to get us started today.
Well, as you know, we live in arguably the safest community in all of Metro Atlanta. Our crime rates are as low and lower than any other community in Metro Atlanta, and I attribute that to a number of things. One, Forsyth County is this unique place to live and raise your family. So we have great citizens, we have great support from our citizens, we have great support from our county government, and our deputies are invested. They're invested in taking care of this community without over-policing this community, right? So we're not worried about writing tickets, we're worried about keeping people safe. And I think when we all keep that as our focus, when we all want this place that we can live and raise our families, then you see the results of that. So, that's kind of our state right now. Our crime rates are actually lower today than they were 10 years ago. And 10 years ago, we had 100,000 less people in Forsyth County. So really proud of the work that the men and women are doing. But it's a constant. You can't let your guard down for a single minute. It is constantly that we're fighting against career criminals coming out of the metro Atlanta region, thinking they can take advantage of the good people here in Forsyth County.
And that's incredible to hear that our crime rate's actually lower today than 10 years ago here in Forsyth, even like you mentioned with population growth. And when we watch the 6 o'clock news, we hear all the crime stories that are coming out of some of the larger metro areas. So we're in a bubble here, and we don't take that for granted. That's because of the fine men and women at the Forsyth County Sheriff's Office.
Well, I agree. We can never take it for granted. And we're not immune. No one can guarantee that something bad can't happen here. But if we stay vigilant, if our citizens stay vigilant and we work in a partnership together, I think you see what's not working in some places, and you see exactly how we do make it work here in Forsyth County.
That's great. And we're here at the Forsyth County East Forsyth High School today, and when I came in, one of the first things I noticed pulling in the parking lots, I saw one of your patrol cars right there at the front. Then when I walked in, I was greeted by one of your school resource officers, which it's my understanding you've got one of those in every school. Is that right?
That's exactly correct. We have, prior to this year, in some joint campuses, we had a shared SRO between an elementary and a middle school that were separated by 100 yards. After reviewing that, working with the school board, working with the county, we said that's not good enough. So we have 55 deputy sheriffs assigned to our school resource program. They're SROs, and then we have 2 full-time K-9 units. And so every school has a deputy sheriff on it, and every major high school is slated for 2 deputy sheriffs in the major high schools.
That's great. And as a father, and I know you're a father, there's nothing more important than keeping our children safe while they're at school. So.
Yeah, I think we all say that. If we can't keep our kids safe, then I don't know what we're doing in this business.
Yeah, thank you for that. What are some other areas or initiatives that you're focused on at the Sheriff's Office going into 23?
So technology becomes a big deal when today's world has changed. 20 years ago when we worked cases, it was a more simplistic way. Now everything involves electronic devices. Everything involves information coming out of cars, all these kind of things. So we really have to be up to date on technology, and that's a constantly, as everyone knows, that's a constantly evolving practice. And then the other thing is we have to know that we have career criminals who have been arrested multiple times in other jurisdictions coming here in Forsyth County. Great part is we don't practice catch and release here in Forsyth County. Our judges and our prosecutors will hold serious offenders accountable. There's alternative programs for minor offenders and things, and there should be. But if you come here with the intent of harming our citizens and stealing from our citizens, you're not going to like the results of what happens. And so I think we have to continue forecasting how we combat that and how we be progressive in looking at that. And I think we've been successful in that.
Well, I think you and the department sent a clear message because, as you know, criminals don't always know county lines, but you've sent a clear message to the criminal world that if you come into Forsyth County, you're going to be treated differently than you may be in some of the other metro counties. You do bad things here, you're going to jail. And
that's exactly the message we want. I tell people all the time, we want Forsyth County to be the most welcoming, prosperous place we can ever see to raise your family and come and visit as well. And welcome to all the law-abiding people who want to come here and partake of this great opportunity that we have in this bubble of Forsyth County. But if you come here with evil in your heart and you come here with bad intentions, you're not going to like meeting one of our deputies.
That's great. Sheriff, again, thank you for being with us today. Thank you and all the men and women of the Forsyth County Sheriff's Office for all you do to keep us safe.
Absolutely our pleasure, and thank you, Forsyth County, for everything you do working beside us, because if you think we can do it alone, we absolutely cannot. What you do for us is you help us make this a safe place. So thank you, everyone in Forsyth County, for working along beside us.
Thank you, Sheriff. That will wrap us for this installment of Investing in the Future. But join us for our next episode as we take a look at the county's new administration campus coming to Freedom Parkway. Thanks so much for joining us today, and always for more Forsyth County government news, information, videos, and more, be sure to follow us on social media channels and by visiting forsythco.com. So long for now.